And good evening, and welcome to the Big High School Sports Show on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. I am Chad Holmes, joined at least for part of the show tonight by former Wausau West head hockey coach and current athletic director B.J. Brandt. It's been an interesting couple of days. We were on, we were off. We're on. I got my guests. I then told them, hey, we don't have a show, so can you come in next week? And then, well, I don't know what time it was, somewhere in the late morning, found out that, nope, the game is off again. So then I'm reaching out again to, actually, we had lined up Mosinee girls basketball coach Josh Howe, but unfortunately, he's not able to then come back in. He'll be with us next week. So, and Griffen Bunnell from the DC Everest hockey team had him coming in. Then he wasn't coming in, and then he said, "Okay, I can still come in tonight." So we'll have him coming up a little bit later on in the show. So, yeesh.
Yeah, the weather causes some problems around here, Chad. First time going through it as an athletic director, and it's a lot of hurry up and wait and see what the weather reports are going to be. It just becomes a lot of text messages, a lot of emails to people asking questions, and then you're just waiting for the weather. What's the report look like? What's falling? What's not falling? And you know, with the detailed of our weather forecasts, it is nice when it's super accurate and we get things right. And honestly, I feel like from a school perspective, I think we got that right here locally, and I think probably, you know, based on talking to Point. We had a WVC principals ADs meeting and down south got a lot of snow. So ultimately I think everybody made the right decision. Scheduling wise, a little bit of a challenge, but as ADs you work through it.
And find a way.
Just put it on the schedule and people show up.
Let's jump in. We'll talk basketball in the second hour. We'll talk hockey here in the first hour, and the game. West and Stevens Point. I mean, looking forward to it. What does it all mean now? I mean, that the game was now being pushed to Monday, the 22nd, so about a week and a half pushback. When you look at the big picture, how do you see it now from the outside, looking in a little bit? Is it an advantage either way? Is it something that now the two games that they play will be tighter because they play again in January? What's your take on this change?
Well, I think the rivalry doesn't change. I think what's interesting is you go through this process. We're going to play. Oh, we're not going to play. Mm-hmm. We're going to play. We're playing the next day. This is great, and then we're not going to play. So, I mean, they're pushing it where it is. I was a little worried we weren't going to find a date until into January, and then like the way it was going to set up was we're going to play 8 days apart. And for both Point and West, I didn't want that because a part of the conference play is to play the first round and get better and make improvements and be a different team the second round. So regardless of what the result was, it's going to be a fun environment. Going to Willett on that Monday, I think, is going to be awesome. I mean, I think no matter what, it was going to be a great environment. I was a little worried about the game time and people's inability to get down there today. But I think
real fast, though, it reminded me, I don't know how many, I mean, nothing, it all goes together now. I can't tell you what year anything is anymore. But it wasn't that long ago that West and Smash played at Marathon Park, I think on a Wednesday as well, a little bit earlier. I was worried that day it would not be the same, but in the end it was a big house, and it was a big exciting game where you guys tried to come back and win that hockey game. So in the end, I think if they would have played today, it would have, I think, still had that juice. I think the people would have got there.
Oh my gosh, I think so too. I think that game, that rivalry, that matchup, you know, you're talking two probably top 5 teams in the state. Their first matchup, Point playing, this will be their 4th game for West. It would have been their 6th. So just some different philosophies and scheduling. I think on December 22nd, whatever time it's played, it's going to be a great environment. I think there's going to be a lot of excitement. You know, in it's kind of for West, it's a little bit almost the end of the first half of their schedule, or gets them into that almost halfway point. For Spash, they're just getting to the meat and potatoes of their schedule. They're pretty light on the front end, and then their middle and back half is pretty scheduled with a lot of Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So there's a lot of games in a short period of time. So that kind of kicks it off. But I think it'll be no matter when it's played, it's going to be a pretty exciting matchup.
Let's talk about what's been going on. Let's talk about what West and Spash have done, because they had some significant games over the weekend. Wausau West played down in southeast Wisconsin. We had both games here on WXCO. Friday night, the Warriors defeated Waukesha 6-2. Cooper DePoy had a hat trick for West, 47-17 edge in shots. And then on Saturday, really quite a game at University School of Milwaukee. Warriors 2, USM 1. Julian Scalcucci, you hear the term stood on his head maybe too often, but he stood on his head. 54 saves on 55 shots. And some nights, and you've seen this, where you can have a lot of shots and they don't necessarily mean lots of scoring opportunities. There were a lot of scoring opportunities for USM in that game. The Warriors got a big shorthanded goal on a misplay by USM that tied up the game in the second period, and then Chase Crass was able to get the game winner late in the third. For Wausau West, number one, that Friday game, I don't know if you've talked to a few folks, it was really, I did not go into it expecting it to be an intense game. It's a Friday night early in the season, a non-conference game, but it turned into a very intense game, both on the ice, in the crowd. The students were very active there, and by the time it was done, I was drained. I mean, it really was. You look at the numbers, 6-2 West, 47-17 in shots, but it was I think the hockey term is a heavy game.
It was heavy. I watched and listened to you a little bit on Live Barn, so I was able to watch that one live and have you on the voice side of it. So it's nice to get your lens of the game too. But it was a very physical game. It was a heavily penalized game. So there was a lot of special teams, especially in the second half of that game. Couple major penalties in there.
It really built.
It built, and it did. And you could see, like, when they scored, they went and celebrated into their student section, and when we scored, we went into their student section, and you could see the temperature of the game kind of rising. But it was a good, you're on a bus ride for 2.5 hours to get off the bus and play really well and have some opportunities there. I think Coop scoring 3 and quite honestly just controlling most of the game. But then to come back the next night, that's always the challenge, and that's part of this process when you build the schedule is you want to challenge the kids on back-to-back nights, and for West to come out and play the way they did. And it was probably a 50-50 game in terms of puck possession, in terms of power plays and penalty kills and some of that stuff. But that was a fast-paced game, and quite honestly, both goalies were the stars of that show. I mean, both teams had a lot of opportunities. Julian played really well, was able to make a ton of saves that I don't think the average sports fan thought he was going to make, and so you could tell he was reading the game really well as I went back and watched that one. So
there was one that I got to just, I'm sure you remember it as well. It was down near the end of the rink where I was broadcasting from, and their top goal scorer had the puck in the right faceoff circle. He could have shot it, but instead he passed it to the near side. A really good pass, a quick shot, and somehow Scalcucci got from his left to right to make that stop. And I just don't know if there's, I think there's well under a handful of goalies that make that stop, because I thought USM, they had a tough loss the previous night against Bay Area, the old Bayport team. They came out, they didn't want to lose back to back, and they came out with a lot of juice. One thing that jumped out very quickly was how fast it started. And that just continued throughout the course of the game.
And it did. It was end-to-end action. I remember there was one shot that the camera lined up, and I think it was where you were sitting, and you had mentioned it in the broadcast. You weren't sure how Julian made it because you couldn't see Julian.
There were 4 players. Yes.
And shooting through traffic. So, when a goalie's making those saves, they're reading the game well. They're finding, the little nuances of a stick release or where somebody's shooting. But obviously, it was a nice play on that shorthanded goal. Cooper DePoit went behind the net and made a nice backhand pass to Hendricks Damro sitting out front. And quite honestly, that's where Hendricks is doing the most damage. Is he's right out front. He's really good below the dots, and you could see that building. And then obviously nice for Chase to get a goal.
And you saw earlier in the game, he got stoned a couple of times on really good opportunities. And you mentioned the fact the USM goalie was really good too.
Yeah, he was good, and it was nice to see. There seemed to be a little bit of relief from Chase Crass when he scored. But the other part of that game too, Chad, there's a penalty shot.
Yeah,
late,
very
like
late.
3 minutes left, 2 minutes left.
Right after the Warriors took the lead.
Correct, and then all of a sudden there's a penalty shot, and Tyler Cook taps Julian on the pads, and Julian gives him kind of a hey, how are you? And the game kind of went the Warriors' way from that point on, but it was certainly a momentum
Had
building.
to kill off a 6-on-4 at the end, though.
Yep. And as I'm listening to you, as a coach, I don't mind it, the 6-on-4, because you can ice the puck.
They did that multiple times.
And that just chews away on the clock. So sometimes that works in your favor. I know probably Coach Brown and the staff aren't wanting to kill that many penalties, especially late in the game, but certainly worked out well for the Warriors and for them to be at the spot they're at through 5 games. I'm sure there's a lot of happiness with that.
Stevens Point made a big statement on Saturday. I mean, I don't care whether Notre Dame Academy is at the same level, because I think maybe they're not quite there yet. It's a long season. I'm sure they'll be plenty good before it's all said and done. But to put up a 9 spot on NDA and win 9-3, I mean, Stevens Point has come out and kind of left off where they picked up where they left off in regular season hockey from a year ago when they didn't lose at all.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the 3 games they've played, 14-0, 14-0, and then now 9-3. And the 9-3 is what sticks out the most, because Notre Dame Academy is a historic program in our state. They've had a ton of success over the last, I mean, you could say
long time.
You could say decade to 15 years if you wanted to go that far back. But when you see that number and the way that they were able to I'll say dismantle Notre Dame Academy, it tells me that they're moving the puck. It tells me that they're taking advantage of the opportunities they have on special teams and quite honestly finishing plays. Because I think back to the game the Warriors played against Notre Dame Academy, 5-2 with a couple minutes left, take some penalties, make it 5-4. So you try to compare the two. That's the one common opponent they have right now when you look at those two teams, and a young Warrior team within the first game, and Spash having the practice time that they've had to set things up. But yeah, that's a statement win for Stevens Point for sure.
Both DC Everest and EMU went down south as well. They both split games. Everest saw an early lead slip away against Marquette on Friday night. Then they came back and played Waukesha like Wausau West did, and 39 saves by our guest, Griffen Bunnell, 39 out of 40. So he's obviously one of the best in the state as well, and they were able to win that game. EMU had a high-scoring win on Friday over Cedarburg 6-5. Jackson Pierce hat trick for EMU. They lost to Marquette the second day. And before we talk about the Valley game last night, for Everest and for East Merrill United, any thoughts on their trip down south?
Yeah, I mean, when you split the weekend, I'm sure there's a lot of opportunities to get different players in, because when you go down to Milwaukee, there's not a ton of implications when you talk about seeding. It's a common opponent at some point for somebody maybe in the seeding process, and it's here we are, 4 or 5 games into the regular season, we're talking about seeding, but it matters.
Right.
So when you go down there, it's an opportunity to get a lot of guys some time. Like on Friday night, for instance, Warriors were able to play Orrin Binkley in net, and he got his first varsity win. So as coaches go down there's opportunities to get different guys, different opportunities to play, and I'm sure that's what it was between those two teams. The Cedarburg victory was Brian Benarchuk's first high school hockey head coaching victory as a head coach here at East Merrill United.
They are scoring goals, but and it's ironic in a sense, because they had a few years here where they had pretty good goaltending. They just asked their goaltenders to stop 70 shots a night, and they would start off the game and get 19 out of 20 in the first period, but then just wear down because of the numbers. This year they're scoring goals, but they're not stopping them at a very high level. And
correct.
And that's something, if they're able to get that save percentage a little bit up, then they have a chance in some of these games.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson Pierce, I think, has got 11 points for them.
7 goals already.
Yeah, 7. I mean, he's certainly somebody that they've looked to. to put the puck in the net. And the nice thing is with these two teams, with East Merrill and Everest, and you talk about West, and we'll talk about Mosinee in a little bit, they all get together here over the next, few days to play in the Marathon Cup. So it'll be exciting to watch them in person and see some local hockey talent.
Everest last night in the Valley, Marshfield, a big win for Marshfield. I know that program has struggled, and to get a Valley win early against Everest and come from behind fashion 3-2 in overtime. Evergreens had a couple of goals in the first half of the game, led 2-0. Looked like, and again, I was watching, I said to you, it looked like they were going to head for a 2-0 win. 2 goals in 15 seconds for Marshfield, and then an overtime goal. That's a major win for Marshfield. In fact, I'm watching, I'm thinking, well, DC Everest would be in first place in the conference, because if they had won, they'd been 2-0. Instead, they're 1-1, and that's got to be a bit of a kick to the gut, because I'm sure they thought they had that one, because they put up a lot more shots, but a great game in net for Neil Mullins, 45 saves for Marshfield.
Yeah, when you look at the game, I was able to watch a little bit of it as well and see some of the highlights. I mean, Everest was in control. They were in control of the game. They had a turnover in the what would have been the third period. They had a turnover, and it ends up in the back of the net. And then they had a shot on goal, and they lost track of Wyatt Fisher, Marshfield's best player, and he was able to tap the rebound in. And then once you get to overtime, anything's possible, Chad. I mean, you're one shot away from finding yourself a victory, and Marshfield was able to get a little pressure on and get a wraparound type goal for the conference victory for them. But I'm sure two sides to that coin. Everest is probably really disappointed, and Marshfield's really excited about that victory.
So West 5-0, Spash 3-0, both 1-0 in the conference, and Everest and Marshfield are 1-1 in the conference. Everest 2-3, Marshfield 1-2, Rapids 1-1, 0-1 in the conference. EMU 1-4, 0-1 in the conference. Great Northern Conference. We're looking forward to maybe an early game of the year in the Valley last night that was not played. They did play a big one last night in the GNC, and it was Tomahawk getting past Northern Pines 6-5. Again, interesting game. Pines jumped out to a 2-0 lead, trailed 5-3, rallied with a couple of power play goals to tie it in the third, and Tomahawk won it on a Jonah Dickens power play goal with 1:45 left in the third. It was a night where the shooting percentage was high for the Eagles. Only 21 shots, 41 shots for Tomahawk, but Tomahawk stays undefeated, and Pines, again, showing that coming off their win over Mosinee earlier last Thursday, 3-2, that they are, again, a factor in the GNC.
Yeah, I mean, this was an early juggernaut matchup in the GNC, and once I had heard they were playing it, I was excited that they were going to get to play this game, because it's, I think, all much the same as the West and Spash. These two teams want to play each other. Yeah. They're not far apart from each other, and two really talented teams right now. Everybody got to see them. And when you get 11 goals on a high school game, there's a lot of action, a lot of end-to-end action. Obviously, Pines goalie Everett Leslie played pretty well, stopping a lot of pucks back there, and a late power play goal. And that's the way you want these games. Like, you want these tight games. You want to learn about how your teams react, whether you have the power play or the penalty kill, and what you're doing in different situations, especially here early on. Now, the difference is the two conferences. This is the only matchup that we're going to see from them in the regular season, guaranteed. Right. Certainly, you'll want to see this matchup again. They've got a conference tournament structure that they both have to win some games to ultimately end up in the conference championship against each other. So certainly you would want to make sure that you see that opportunity happen again.
Well, don't know. We really don't, because I think that early on you'll say Tomahawk is in the pole position. And then, of course, the old brackets, you have the 2-3 game in the semifinals, and it would be Mosinee and Pines maybe at this point. And those two teams met up in Eagle River last Thursday, and Mosinee did a lot of things well. Outshot Pines 25-17, but in the end, a late goal in the final seconds gave Northern Pines a 3-2 win over Mosinee. And then Mosinee bounced back on Saturday. A very interesting game numbers-wise. Again, I didn't see this game, but Mosinee beat Madison Memorial 7-5. It was 5-3 Memorial after 2, and in fact, they dominated 36 shots to 13 in the first two periods. But then Mosinee came back in a 16-10 edge in the third, and the big numbers, the 4 goals they scored. Tyler Barrs a hat trick, Reed Butala 2 for Mosinee, so they earned a 7-5 win. It appears that Mosinee, at least early on, is going to be right there along with Pines.
I think so. I think when you look at that conference right now, I think it's those three teams, because you've seen the games against Pines and Mosinee, tight game, right? I mean, just a really good hockey game. and to get how exciting for them to score with a few seconds left for Pines to get that victory over Mosinee. But Mosanee's been able to put the puck in the net. I mean, when you get Tyler Bars and he's got a ton of varsity experience. He was on the show last year with us and just a fun kid to talk to and certainly a player that I'm looking forward to watch here as the Marathon Cup unfolds over the next few days here. But yeah, I think that you're right. Those are the three teams: Tomahawk, Pines, Mosinee right now, and who knows? There's other teams in there that'll be in the mix. They just haven't shown up yet.
And Anago has done a nice job early. I mean, they continue to get stellar goaltending play. They had that tough loss against Mosinee in overtime, but then they were able to beat Medford 6-3. Liam Burt a hat trick. Alex Brittenham 2 goals. Austin Martinson 29 more saves, and then they beat Viroqua 6-3. Burt and Billy Portman 2 goals each, and Martinson 47 saves. He's already racking up probably among the top save totals in the early part of the season, and it's actually interesting because Andago's been down a little bit recently, but it looks like they found themselves a combination, a guy that's stopping the puck, and they got a few of these kids that are lighting the lamp as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching just the stats on Anago right now, and Martinson has seen a lot of pucks, but certainly a competitor that he's competing on every shot to make sure he's getting the rebounds and giving Anago an opportunity to produce. One game in that conference that I thought was a big win was for Wapaka. To get a 4-1 win over Lakeland, that's a combination that Wapaka probably hasn't won recently, and for them to get a conference win over a quality program like Lakeland, a team that's been to the state tournament in the past few years and competed in sectional finals and just to give an opportunity, so big conference win for Wapaka.
Another game I wanted to touch on as well, because I think it is a significant game. You talk about games that are important within the divisions. As a measuring stick was that Pines went to Amory on Saturday and won 4-2. And another thing that kind of jumped out is after they were last night they were outshot nearly 2-1, but on the road against an Amory team that made the state tournament a year ago, Pines had 44 shots on goal, just 24 for Amory, and were able to win 4-2. Again, it's very interesting the mixture sometimes is seen within the conference and then against quality non-conference. I mean, we talk about that all the time with Wausau West because you play within your league some quality competition, and then of course you play almost every non-conference game against quality competition. For a team like Pines to go to Amory, and again, Amory's been right there. I think a couple of years back they lost to New Richmond in the sectional final, and then New Richmond made the state, and then last year with New Richmond moving up a division, they were able to get through that bracket. So again, I mean, when you look at the bracket, Tomahawk is not there anymore. So Pines, if Mosinee thought, well, Tomahawk has been our roadblock the last couple of years in the sectional final, it looks like Pines is going to kind of step into that role within that bracket in D2.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of excitement within that bracket, because with Tomahawk moving up and moving out, they probably feel it's wide open. And obviously right now, I think when you look at that sectional, you've got Pines and Mosinee as the front runners in that sectional, but they play each other so many times. I mean, that's the hard part and the best part of having 8 teams in your section. It's mostly in their conference, so you get to know, as a coach, you get to know tendencies, you get to know players' tendencies, you get to know coaches' tendencies, and you can coach through things. So by the time they get to the game 20 through 24 and into the playoffs, this can be the third time that these teams have seen each other.
Before we wrap the GNC portion here, and then we can look forward a little bit, a conversation that continues is about Tomahawk and being in Division I. And there are a lot of folks who think the WIAA may have dropped the ball here, that Tomahawk, because they are a very small school. I mean, it's not the case of, say Springs, that was a private school, may not, numbers-wise, not big, but they still have Fond du Lac. They're in Fond du Lac. Tomahawk being a little different, being, again, small school, the smallest school. And I think they did appeal that they wanted to stay in Division II. WIA said, no, we got this system and we're going to go with it. What are your thoughts on that? Should they be Division I based on the success quotient, or should they be Division II based on the fact that even in Division II, they're very much the smallest standalone school in the WIA hockey tournament?
I mean, I think you can make a case for both directions. When I found out that Tomahawk was going to have to move up based on the success factor points, it at the time I wasn't in the role I was in, and now you look at it, it was going to be interesting to me to see the decision of the WIA, because if I'm Tomahawk, I'm definitely going to appeal this, because they're the smallest standalone school in hockey. So of 85 teams, they're the smallest team. And when you look at it, yes, they've had a good, successful 3-year period where they've accumulated enough points, won a championship, and able to be afforded the opportunity to move up. And I certainly would have appealed if I were them, and I know they did. But what I didn't understand is I didn't know it was a 2-year commitment. So now, when you look at that, that's different to me, because my understanding was if it was you move up
and then the points come off,
then the points come off.
Right.
If you're not as successful as you were in years prior, then you're back down to Division II. But talking to their athletic director, Ryan Flynn, it's a 2-year commitment. So now they're up at Division I at a 2-year commitment. And I think part of that, the WIA needs to allow for some of these cases, because sometimes in a small community, you get a really good pocket of kids. You get a great group of parents and families that are committed to their sport, and they have a great run. And maybe it's the same on the backside of that group, or maybe it's not. And I think that has to be part of the conversation to what's beyond this group and what's in the future of the program. So do I think they should be up in Division I? Yes, based on the success factor. I do think there is some merit in that, but I also think there's some variables that hopefully in the future can be taken into account.
It's in a sense, in some ways, a no-win situation, because then the teams that do get moved up will say, well, that's unfair. It's, we got moved up based on the same criteria and somebody else didn't. But at the same time, you're exactly right. I mean, and again, this does seem to be almost a unique situation when you do have the absolute smallest school, the standalone school, that now will be in this bracket of incredible largeness and quality and the such. It's really tough for Tomahawk, but I guess they will truly have that small David versus Goliath sense when they start. And I'm not sure I'd want to be the team that faces them right away in that first round of the playoffs.
I mean, they're defending Division II champions, and as somebody who was in the room when you're making decisions on Division I, Division II for boys hockey, it's nice to see the success factor come into play, because it does open opportunities up for other communities to get to the state tournament. And I think, the WIA would tell you that they're happy with how it's gone because of the amount of communities that they've been able to get to the state tournament. Not so much on the Division I side. Division I side's been pretty stagnant as to who's going to be there, or historically who's gone. On the Division II side, it's been pretty much wide open and created some really fun matchups for communities to get to the state tournament.
Well, there's still some work to be done, I think, so definitely. We're going to take a time out, come back with more. Again, we'll be joined by Griffen Bunnell, our student-athlete guest, coming up at some point here in the near future. I had tried to get in contact with Griff to get him to come in a little early, but I'm not sure he got that. So we'll continue talking about Marathon Cup and what's happening here in the next week in high school hockey, and then we'll focus on high school basketball coming up in hour number 2. So we'll be back here in just a moment. It is the Big High School Sports Show on 98.9 WXCO. On Thursday, the Wausau West hockey team looks to start their journey towards a 19th consecutive Marathon Cup championship. The Warriors will take on East Merrill United in a tournament semifinal. Hear all the exciting action live on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app, with the pregame show starting at 5:06 and the opening face-off at 5:30. Wausau West Hockey on 98.9 WXCO is brought to you by Sun Printing, the Wausau West Athletic Department, Cloverbelt Credit Union, sponsor of the Cloverbelt Credit Union broadcast booth, Rocket Industrial, and the Wausau Business Show, the Wausau Cyclones, the Wausau West Hockey Booster Club, and Mike Whitmore Construction. It's Wausau West taking on East Merrill United in a Marathon Cup semifinal. Thursday, starting with the pregame show at 5:06 on 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app.
Rocket Industrial's mission to package with less is a commitment to making a future that's better for the next generation. Their recommendations help manufacturers across the nation package with less material, less waste, less time, and with less cost. Their engineers and experts provide data-backed solutions that positively impact your bottom line. When you work with Rocket Industrial, you're working with a partner committed to making a difference. Rocket Industrial, package with less. Learn more at rocketindustrial.com.
For more than 60 years, Sun Printing has been Central Wisconsin's printer of choice due to their commitment to quality, creative solutions, and dedicated service. Sun Printing's team offers you a wide spectrum of services. Whether you need vehicle graphics, offset, digital, large format, graphic designer mailing, they print everything under the sun. No project is too big or too small. So give Sun Printing a call at 845-4911 or visit them online at sunprinting.com.
And welcome back. It is the Big High School Sports Show on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. The normal time we'd be talking to a head coach right now, but because of all the back and forth in terms of the West Bash hockey game, we lost our coach guest for tonight. But next Wednesday we'll have Josh Howe from the Mosinee High School girls basketball program with us. So that just means we get an opportunity to talk more hockey. And I just got a message from Griffen Bunnell. He said the practice ran us a little long, but he'll be here about 6:50. So we'll give you a chance at least to get started here with the Griff, and hopefully maybe be able to talk a little bit, because it's always better to have more voices in the conversation.
It is, absolutely.
So fantastic. So no, that's great to hear, and it's really appreciative that because I said I apologize for the inconvenience here going back and forth, but still able to come here tonight before starting the Marathon Cup. And let's talk about the Marathon Cup, because we always, I think every year for the last decade or so, when I go over and talk to you in one of the locker rooms on Thursday before the game, talk about being one of those bench posts. And I think it's for all four of these schools. And yes, Wausau West has won a lot of Marathon Cups in a row, but it doesn't mean that these teams from DC Everest and Mosinee and Wausau East Merrill aren't thinking the same thing, that they want to get that bench post themselves here early in the campaign.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's such a great community event. I mean, it's from the hockey side, it's absolutely that, Chad. It is circled on everybody's schedule, and these 2 days, Thursday and Saturday, you get to compete for the Marathon Cup, and it's all the communities coming together to celebrate, I think, high school hockey, but also find a way to donate to the community as well through the Salvation Army and the relationship that they've developed with the Salvation Army and those events. So I think when you look at the Marathon Cup, it's that. I mean, it's definitely circled on the calendar, a time you want to play well. You get to play on the big sheet at Green Heck, so you've got just some different variables there that you don't normally get to play on. There's rivalries, there's competitiveness. These kids all know each other. The coaches know each other. And quite honestly, for some of the community, it's a great opportunity to go out, and maybe that's sometimes the only thing they look forward to is to come out and watch the Marathon Cup. And certainly it has been, the Warriors' favor for a while, and certainly something that as a West program, it's a benchmark for the season.
How does it happen, though? I mean, and we were talking about this, and I put up a story today on our website if you want to go and check it out, WXCO.FM. 37 straight wins at the Marathon Cup, the tournament, because there's that round 3, and they actually lost a couple of times at the very least in that round 3, which is not technically the Marathon Cup. It's just make sure everyone plays each other. I said in the story that there's been, DC Everest has been to state in the past decade. Mosinee has been there, I think, a couple of times in this run. The math doesn't. I mean, I said in the story, this could be one of the most incredible streaks in Wisconsin high school sports right now. I just think that mathematically, a bounce of the puck here or there easily could have gone the other way in more than a handful of these games.
I mean, and there's been some really good hockey games. I mean, I think a lot of one-goal games have happened between West and Everest and West and Mosinee. I mean, there's been a lot of tight games in that run. I mean, it's been an incredible run, certainly for the Warriors. And when you as a coach, you go into this, it's 2 games in early middle December when you look at the big picture of things, but you play for a trophy. And that trophy means something. Yeah. And if you're playing for a trophy, it's obviously important to enough people to where you're going to get to put your name on it and own it for a year. And certainly that's been part of it when, as a head coach, you go into this game, like there's a lot of community pride, and whether no matter what jersey you're wearing, you want to perform well, because quite honestly, it's some of the bigger crowds that the kids get to play in front of, and it happens here in the middle of December, and it's right before the holidays, so you get some of the kids that have, a lot of kids people who've played in the Marathon Cup come back to watch it. It's a great opportunity to come out and watch high school hockey, but there's a lot of pride that comes into it, and emotion, and you'll see that on display as well as some really good hockey.
Got West and EMU in the first game, and as we mentioned, EMU has been able to light the lamp, but for them to have any chance of giving West a big battle, they got to keep West somehow in check, and that's going to be very difficult with the offensive firepower that the Warriors have.
Yeah, when you look at the way West is set up, they've got a bunch of guys that can put the puck in the net, and I would say 1 through 12 in terms of their forward firepower, they've been able to spread it out throughout the lineup. Certainly for West, they've got to keep an eye on Jackson Pierce. He's been able to put in the puck in the net for East Merrill, and for the Warriors, they've got to come out and play their game. It's a big sheet. It lends well to the better skating teams and the better puck handling teams because there's more space, and with more space becomes more opportunity to attack, more opportunity for creativity, more opportunity for time. And that's what people don't understand sometimes with hockey is when you shrink the rink, it takes away time from some of these kids, and that's processing time. That's the ability to make the right play at the right moment, and playing on the big sheet at Everest gives you a little bit more time.
Second semifinal is very interesting because you got Mosinee and DC Everest, and they both played Pines. And again, you can make that comparison. Everest opened up in Eagle River, and it was 4-0 Pines. And just last Thursday, Mosinee went there and lost 3-2 in a tight one. The thing that jumped out about that game, in a sense, and again, not seeing the game, you don't know, but you always think in that small ice sheet at Eagle River, you have a lot of shots. It was 25-17 in shots, and that happens more often than one would think. But Mosinee had a better shot of winning the hockey game than maybe DC Everest did. It's just something.
Well, now,
but I think both these teams are both going to be competitive. I think they both expect to be in the top 3 in their conference at the very least, and I think both teams expect that they have an opportunity to do something this season. DC Everest has a lot of veteran players, and again, I think the one key may be the young man we're going to be talking to here in a few minutes, because you have a veteran goaltender who has just done it over and over again in Griffen Bunnell. And he's been playing very well so far this season.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun matchup. When you talk to some of the people in the hockey community, it's certainly one when you ask, well, who do you have in that game? Who's going to win? And it's 50-50. Right. I mean, and I think when you look at the way they've set up their schedules up to this point, it leads to a really good semifinal matchup for the Marathon Cup. And I think it's going to come down to experience. And I think right now, when you look at both rosters, there's good experience out there. There's good talent and skill level out there. It's going to be one I want to watch. I mean, it's 2 really good hockey teams, 2 well-coached hockey teams that get the opportunity to play each other, and there's the opportunity to play for the Marathon Cup on the line.
And I would, based on the experience that DCE has, I would be surprised if we don't see the Evergreens at their best after the Marshfield game last night. And that game was and again, there were some changes in that one. It was started early, and again with the Storm. I mean, you change your patterns a little bit. They did come out and get 40-plus shots on net, so they had opportunities. But I would expect a team that has that experience to really bounce back big time tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sure that was part of the conversation too, and that'll be part of the conversation going into the game on Thursday. Certainly a game where the Evergreens thought they were going to come out on top and didn't, and sometimes that's a little bit of a motivator too. I mean, you realize that you are a good group, you're a good experienced group, and you had a bad day, and now it's a matter of resetting a little bit and taking advantage of the opportunities ahead of you. Sometimes it's a flush it. It happened. It's over. You got to move on from it and do a little bit of reset. So hopefully that's the mindset of where Everest is at. And with Mosinee, they've got some good young skill. They've been able to be successful so far this year. They've scored a ton of goals, so they've been able to put the puck in the net. So, when we talk to Griff tonight, like he's somebody that's a big factor in this game because of his talent level and what it means to the outcome.
I want to talk a few minutes about the girls' side. And last night, the Central Wisconsin Storm was supposed to be in action, and they got postponed. They have not been in action in the past week. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, that can't be great at this point of the year. You want to play at least one game per week, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes practice creative and fun, and try to keep getting better and create competitive environments. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult when you have that cancellation. But then you look at what they have coming forward. They're going to play a lot of games coming up and before the new year here. So it's a little bit of both. I mean, I think when they played as many games as they did in a short period of time, it is nice to have a little bit of break if anybody was unhealthy, to get them healthy. It's been fun to watch the different girls' scores throughout the state to try to figure out who matches up well with who and see how the Storm's going to match up around the state.
What have you noticed? Who's stepping up? I mean, I think ECA looks like they're pretty darn good early on.
Yep.
Anybody else?
I mean, you've got Bay Area. I think Bay Area is the top right now when you look at the scores that they've been. What's been surprising to me is I thought they would put up more than what they have been. There's been some closer games. Now, closer games meaning it's been 3-0, 4-1, something like that, and that's not really a close game. But maybe I thought they would separate a little bit more. I mean, they're a little bit different because they graduated quite a bit of talent and skill last year too, much of whom are playing college hockey in some way, shape, or form. So they've not been a surprise, but clearly they've risen to the top. I mean, ECA I thought was outstanding in the game that they played against the Storm. The Storm took advantage of their opportunities. Cami Floor played really well in net. Yeah. So I think for the Storm, they're right in that mix as well. I thought Valley Union was much improved from where they were a year ago. When you look at the conference there, I think Pines is excited about the group that they have. So from the conference perspective, I think you look at it, Black River Falls historically has had outstanding goaltending. And this group of girls has played Black River Falls as a group growing up. So it'll be fun to see the conference aspect of it, but certainly some improvement across the girls' game in the state.
And when you look at the conference, and again, the new Wisconsin Valley Conference, you have Storm 3-1, 1-0 in the conference. Black River Falls 1-1-1 overall, 1-0 in the conference. Pines 0-2, 0-0. And the Union and Medford both 0-1 in the conference and 0-2 for Wisconsin Valley Union. Medford 0-3. But you said it, Wisconsin Valley Union, they had that game against the Storm, and then they had the game against ECA, and they had more than 25 shots on net in the game against ECA when they played last Thursday. They're just having a hard time right now getting it to the back of the net. They played a couple of, I think, really good goaltenders and a couple of good defensive teams, but even with the scores, they have not been blown away by any means. So again, they're 0-2 to start, but I'm curious to see how they do develop because they should be pretty good. They do have these schools that I think are pretty good hockey schools generally. Maybe not. They've had their ups and downs with the girls' game, but I would think that the Wisconsin Valley Union could work their way into the conversation with the Storm and Black River Falls.
Yeah, and they're older this year. I mean, they're more experienced this year. From Campbell Spees and Lily Chicky, like two people they're going to rely on. And even in the game against the Storm, I felt like there were times when the Valley Union controlled play.
Sure.
I mean, they had puck possession. They had it in the offensive zone. They created a bunch of chances. And I think that's something that they'll build on. As long as they stay healthy, I think they're going to be a team that you have to watch out for.
And I guess one more question about the Storm, and judging by what you've seen, the number of shots have been much higher. The goaltending has been stellar. The goals against have been stellar. Generally, how do you see this team right now? Is it a team that's being carried a bit by their goaltending, or is it is that somehow because you don't want to be relying on 30 out of 30 shots every night? What's your take on where the Storm stand? Do you sense that those younger defensemen are starting to fit into their roles because they did lose so much experience on the blue line?
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to come down to is early season experience and how those kids respond to it. Offensively, I think they've created some chances, but they've played some decent goaltending here early on too. So I think that'll be the balance for them, is to find the right lineup on the back end to see who's playing well. And I think one of the benefits they have is they have a lot of young, talented kids that they can rotate in and out and get kids experience. And I think that goes for the back end and as a forward group. I think from the goalie perspective, I mean, you've got the dynamic duo is back again, and they've both Simonson and Fleur have played really well in their opportunities, and it'll be interesting to watch the defensemen develop throughout the year and the young forward group that they have develop throughout the year to create offense. And I think that'll be the story of it. I think you're going to see them give up more shots than they historically have. But at the same time, I think the games may be a little bit tighter, but their experience and their skill will help them get over the hump.
And let me ask you again about the forwards, because they haven't scored a lot of goals so far. Do you think that is just a case of sometimes you're running a little bit cold when it comes to the shots, or do you think that there's some areas that they need to get better at in order to get a little bit more in terms of the goals?
Well, I think when you look at what was graduated over the last 2 years offensively, the players that are now in the program didn't have to produce because they knew that they had other people to produce those goals and weren't put in those situations. So I think you'll see them get better as the year goes on as well, because they're going to put themselves into situations like that, and they have to put the puck in the net. I think you'll see a lot of really tight games for the Storm. I don't think there's going to be a ton of blowouts. I think it's going to be a situation where they're going to rely heavily on how they play on the defensive side of the puck and taking advantage of the opportunities they have in the offensive end.
We're going to take another quick timeout, come back in a minute, and hopefully Griffen Bunnell will be able to join us before BJ Brandt has to take off for a big meeting. But we'll take a 1-minute break and then come back with more here on the Big High School Sports Show on 98.9 WXCO.
Get ready, Wausau. The Cyclones are bringing the heat to the ice. Experience nonstop action, thrilling goals, and family fun all season long. Don't miss the action December 12th and 30th as the Wausau Cyclones face off against the Rochester Grizzlies at Marathon Park. Puck drops at 7:10 both nights. This season, the Cyclones proudly support Wausau West High School hockey, building community and inspiring the next generation of players. Grab your tickets now at WausauCyclones.com and join the roar of the crowd.
Are you thinking about updating or transforming your home or business? Mike Whitmore Construction has been delivering nearly 3 decades of professional construction service you can count on. Stunning interior renovations, durable exterior upgrades. Mike and his team do it all, expertly, efficiently, with quality that lasts. See the quality work of Mike Whitmore Construction on their Facebook page. For craftsmanship you can trust, call Mike Whitmore Construction today. 715-401-3965. Mike Whitmore Construction, built on experience, driven by quality.
It is the Big High School Sports Show on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. With BJ Brandt, I'm Chad Holmes. Coming up, we'll be talking to our student-athlete guest for this week, DC Everest senior goaltender Griffen Bunnell. Before we wrap up this hour, let's talk briefly about basketball, because I know that you keep an eye on it as the AD now. Wausau West lost for the first time on Friday night at Eau Claire North, 72-46. Warriors are missing some players. That big players, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean,
Karji was out, right?
Yep,
And
Amir was out.
Amir was out.
Yep. So when you look at those two players, they're certainly been impactful in their lineup so far up to this point. So I mean, when you look at the score, you see 72-46 as the final there. There's obviously an opportunity to get a lot of guys in and get experience. When you're missing two people like Karji and Amir who've been big parts of their lineup, it's something where you got to rely on guys that maybe don't have the experience in the minutes at the moment, but it's an opportunity to create some depth and get those guys ready to go.
Everest and West doubleheader on Friday. That's
yeah. I mean, and when you look at it, you've got West girls basketball making up the Chippewa Falls game, and then they've got the big doubleheader on Friday with both boys and girls doubleheader.
It's a good week. I mean, you got the Cup on for Thursday and Saturday, and then the East-West basketball twin bill on Friday. So a lot of reasons to get out. Hey, good to see Griffen Bunnell. Griff,
Yeah.
Good to see you.
How's it going?
Doing great. Thanks for coming on in.
Hey, Griff.
Appreciate you back and forth the last couple of days here, not knowing whether we have a show or not.
Yeah,
But,
all good, all good.
We just have a few minutes before the top of the hour news, but we start off here. Senior year, my first question is, it feels like you've been around forever. I mean, you had a chance to play as a very young player, as a freshman. What's it feel like to be a senior now? Because you've had this process. I mean, to be able to have the complete high school experience, how does it feel to know that this is the final go-around at DC Everest?
To be honest, it's crazy. I mean, it feels like just yesterday I was coming into my freshman year, and here we are already 5 games down into senior year, and it goes way faster than you would expect. I know people say that a lot, like it goes fast, but it doesn't really hit you until you get to the end, and it's crazy.
Talk a little bit, Griff, about how you prepare for the season and what you do to make sure that you're ready and your pretty heavy senior group is ready to have a successful senior season.
Yeah, we got a very big group, 11 seniors. So, there's a lot of us, and we came together and we talked, and we knew we had to make it one last good one before we were done. And preparing for the season, we were just staying on the ice and playing a little bit of fall hockey. And
it's been a bit of an up and down start for your team. You had, I think, some high spots, but some low spots. And we always have to tell the story. It's like, when you bring in a student athlete, you always want them to win on Tuesday. And last night was a tough one. I mean, you had a game that it looked like you were going to be able to win it, maybe a shutout, and then Marshfield had the big comeback. How do you look at the team so far? Is it a feeling out process to get into the season? As much experience as you may have, you may think you're ready to start from game one, but it does take a little time to get into an early season rhythm, doesn't it?
yeah, obviously last night didn't go the way we wanted to, and things just weren't clicking. But we don't have much time to dwell on it. We got to rebound. We already got a game tomorrow, and I think we're 5 games in now, and we're figuring it out. And it's just about resilience and making sure we don't let bad games bother us and bounce back. And we know what we're capable of, and we can accomplish a lot if we really put our minds to it. And yeah, I think if we just stay on it, we'll be fine.
Talk about what looking to the future. I mean, you guys obviously are looking forward to a great senior hockey season. What does life look like beyond? What are your plans for next year?
I'm not 100% sure yet. And applying to colleges, obviously thinking about the hockey path, but nothing's guaranteed, and just keeping my options open and considering it, but just focusing on the now and letting it take me wherever it takes me.
Hockey's different than all the other sports.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many different paths that you can take. And you say, trying to keep focus on the now. How do you do that? I mean, because you do have, and we've talked to other student athletes where that's kind of hanging over them. Are you able to compartmentalize that in a good way?
Yeah, I mean, you think about it from time to time, and that is what it is. But, just showing up to the rink every day and focusing on what the goal is of now, winning the game that's coming up, or the goals we have for our team this season. So I put everything else aside when I get to the rink and focus on that team and what I can do now to help us.
It's always about the next shot, right?
Yep.
We're going to come back more with Griffen Bunnell after our top of the hour news update and another full hour of the Big High School Sports Show coming up here on 98.9 WXCO. And welcome back. It is hour number 2 of the Big High School Sports Show on 98.9 WXCO. Online at WXCO.FM. Mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO and on the Civic Media app. I am Chad Holmes. Going to be flying solo here in the second hour because, doggone it, work has called for BJ Brandt. He has to head back over to Wausau West for a big meeting, so he's had to take off. He'll be back with us again next week. But still across the way is DC Everest senior goaltender Griffen Bunnell. And we were just talking about the Marathon Cup. What does the Marathon Cup mean to you in terms of the importance of it during the course of your season? Is it one of those early season milestones that's important to you and your teammates?
Yeah, it's always a goal of ours throughout the season, and we want to win the Marathon Cup is always a goal we have, and obviously the competition is really good, and so we know it's not going to be easy, but I think it's a sign for us if we work together and we just play as a unit, we'll be able to win, and that's the goal.
How important is it to have big crowds? Because that's one of the things that's often the case at the Marathon Cup, especially when you get to the championship round, and your team has been there quite a bit over the years. Do you feel that energy at Green Heck when that crowd is really large? Do you feel it on the ice?
Yeah, it's certainly fun playing in front of a large crowd, and it makes it a different game almost with the energy in there. So it's fun, and you always want to perform in front of all the fans, and so it's a cool environment to play in for sure.
Mosinee tomorrow. Mosinee is always a solid hockey team. They usually have some players that can put the puck in the back of the net. We were talking in the first hour about their game on Saturday when they played Madison Memorial. They were down 5-3 going into the third period, and then they were able to score 4 times in the third, would come back and win it 7-5. What do you know about this version of the Mosinee team? Do you know much about who you're going to be seeing tomorrow night?
Yeah, a little bit. We have an idea, but I think we're focused. We're just focusing on playing our game and treating everyone the same as much of a threat as they are, and we just want to go out there and play the best of our abilities no matter who we're playing on the other end.
Is that truly the way that you go about it to be most successful? Because, again, people like myself always say, oh, you got so-and-so coming up, and how are you going to stop them, or how are you going to take advantage of it? It really does come down in so many different ways within your locker room, within the guys that then go out on the ice, that if you do what you're supposed to do, more often than not, you're going to win. Is that the mindset for you and your teammates?
Yeah. Obviously, in the back of your head, you know who you're playing, but the mindset in the locker room is to just focus on doing your job and not at who you're playing, but doing the little things right. And if we all do that, then there's a good chance we'll win. We
touched a little bit earlier about this being your senior year. And I think I may have asked you this last year. I can't remember because things just, time compresses as I get older. But between when you were starting as a freshman and now as a senior, where are you most improved at? Is there one area that you say, okay, I've really taken the reps and the minutes and the opportunities to get myself better in this area, maybe more than any other? Where are you maybe most proud of in terms of your improvement over these 4 years?
I would say it comes mentally, I think, is where I've improved the most. And, getting scored on, it's not the most fun, but it's about how you recover and focus on the next one. And, obviously I've gotten scored on a lot throughout my career.
Well, less than most.
Yeah. But it's not fun at the time, but, as you're younger, it's a good learning experience to remind yourself, like, you're going to get scored on. It is what it is, and you just got to learn how to take the next shot. And
how quickly do you get over it? Just to take people maybe a little bit between the pipes a little bit, because you go out there, and we always see that goaltender. They come out there, and they're getting that snow on, make sure that the puck has to go sliding over that line if at all possible. What's when you think about your mental outlook, what are the things that you think about? Number one, maybe preparing for the game. Number two, within a game itself, and maybe when you do have those moments where your opponent scores and you have to get back to it really quickly. Could you maybe go behind the curtain a little bit about your mental approach to playing goaltender? Because as you said, it in a lot of ways, it's within a team game, there's a lot of solo aspects to it.
Yeah. So, getting scored on, it's not long until the puck's back in play. So you just got to get over it quick and just always reset. There's always a routine to reset, and you go through that routine, just try to forget about it. And obviously it's not always easy, especially if you want it back, but just forgetting about it is so important, and focusing on what you can do in the future instead of what happened in the past.
When you have a game like you did on Saturday, when you stopped 39 of 40 shots, and you've had a few of those games over your career, does it feel like you're in the zone? Does it feel like, save after save kind of builds on each other? What's it like when you're in those games where it's like, man, it feels like you can stop anything?
Yeah, sometimes stuff is just clicking. And, on Saturday, our defense played outstanding, so it made it so much easier for me to see the puck. They cleared rebounds, and it's just so helpful when you have guys helping you out, and our team's done a good job of that. So it's nice to have those guys, the defensemen that we do, and it just makes it so much easier to get in that zone when you have guys who will play in front of you.
Again, we're talking to Griffen Bunnell, the goaltender for the DC Everest Evergreen hockey team, senior for DCE, getting set for the Marathon Cup coming up this week here on the Big High School Sports Show on 98.9 WXCO. Let's talk about some of those guys that make your job a lot easier. Let's start with your defensemen. Who are some of the top defensemen that are helping you out here in the 2025-2026 season?
Yeah, first people I think about are Gabe and Xavier. They've been along with me this whole way, and they've been kind of in the same boat with me through these 4 years, and they're both have done a tremendous job throughout then, and they're both putting up points on the board this year. They're both top point scorers on our team, and they just do everything right. They pay attention to detail, and they're just always in front of me. They're always helping me, and they're just so good at what they do. It's insanely helpful. And
it always helps a goaltender when you got guys who can put in the back of the net as well. Who are some of your top forwards, the guys that you and your teammates lean on?
Yeah, Cole has been helpful for years now, and he's always moving his feet, and he knows how to do things right, and he gives 100% effort, and I feel like that doesn't just go for him. It goes for everyone on our team. All of our forwards, they give effort, and that's what you can ask for most, because effort is probably the top part of a game, and the team that gives more effort is most likely going to come out on top.
One of the interesting aspects about your team is, and you kind of touched on it, these seniors that have gone through it, and it's not been a case of just for a year or two. You had a group of young players who have kind of grown together. Has that made it a much more meaningful experience for you, because you've had these guys that have been there as you tried to grow this program, to go level by level to try to compete for a lot of wins and for titles, but to have these guys that are going through this process with you?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, to be honest. Just a lot of guys in our class, we've been playing since we were freshmen together, and the chemistry is just there, and we all know each other so well. We all get along, and it's fun more than anything. I mean, it's so enjoyable to play with people that you really enjoy being around, and we all know what we want to do this year and our goals, and we all try to work so hard to accomplish them.
What are those goals? Because, I mean, you're in a tough conference. I mean, you got Stevens Point, who hasn't lost a regular season game in a long time. Got Wausau West, who's off to a really good start. I mean, generally, this conference, it's just not easy. I mean, wherever you go, I mean, you saw it last night, Marshfield. I think that's a much improved team. I saw them earlier in the season. They got a goaltender that looked very, very solid as well. What are the goals for your squad this season?
Yeah, I think, honestly, we just want to go out and do our best to win every game we can. And, obviously we want to make it far in playoffs, but that's for a later time.
Sure.
Just take it game by game, go out there and get it done each day, even at practice, every day. Just go out and get it done. I mean, those are the goals, and give full effort. And just,
is there anything in particular that you and your guys talk about that you want to continue to get better at? I mean, you want to get better at everything, obviously, every day of practice, every game. But are there certain areas that, hey, these are going to be keys against some of these tough teams? And you got a good schedule. I mean, just going down to Southeast Wisconsin last weekend, and then, of course, your conference games and everything else that you have on the schedule. What are some of the areas that, as you feel, at least here early on this season, that your team has to be better at?
I think so far we've done a good job with just putting in good effort, and that's always the main goal, and systems come with that. But once you give good effort, those systems will work out, and we've done a good job so far in the power play, much improved. And I think we work on it so much in practice, our power play and our penalty kill, because those are so important to scoring goals, stopping goals. And I think as a team, we work on it a lot, but it's just our compete. We want to have good compete, and we work on that a lot in practice.
Let's step away from the ice for a few moments, and I know that you spend lots of time on the ice, obviously, in terms of being prepared for what you do between the pipes. What do you like to do to get away from it all, to maybe relax away from school and away from hockey when you have those few moments?
I've always loved the golf. I mean, I do it in the spring. I'll go to the simulators every once in a time in the winter. It just helps me relax, and I've always enjoyed golf a ton, and I watch a lot of football on the weekends, so that's always enjoyable.
Do you have a favorite class?
Uh,
That's weird. I'm going to say something because I was actually doing a number of interviews last weekend, and the question I always ask that has the longest pause is, what's the favorite class? It's always one of the hardest questions to student athletes. Do you have anything that kind of stands out?
I mean, I've always... Honestly, I don't even know. Probably gym class is my favorite, just because I'm doing something active, and I like to be active. So.
I remember that was my answer when I was going to school as well, so that's definitely a good one. I think I asked you this last year about goaltenders at the NHL level, goaltenders that you've watched over the years that you admire the most. Was it Fleury that you said last year?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's what I thought. And now he's retired,
yeah,
obviously.
he retired. So.
Is there anybody that's playing right now that you kind of look at as somebody that is a role model in terms of what you want to be as a goaltender?
Yeah, Jasper Wallstead plays for the Wild.
He took in the locker, I guess, Fleury, right?
Yeah, he's doing very well this season. I think he leads the NHL in multiple stats, so I like to watch him sometimes, and just clips just on Instagram of him playing are just impressive, so I like to look at him a lot. If
you had a clipboard that it says scouting reports for Griffen Bunnell, and it would say strengths, what would you put down?
Ooh, I think just effort. I want to save the puck every time, and I try to give full effort and do anything that can keep it from going by. So
now the hard one, weaknesses.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff I could work on for sure.
We just need one.
But I think positioning. I think there's always room for improvement on positioning. It's the most important. It's hard to make a save if you're out of position, so just always working on that. And
you've had a lot of varsity hockey experience. What's the highlight so far? Was there a game or a moment that was a highlight up to this point?
There's been some good wins for our team, obviously, but I think my sophomore year, we went to Eau Claire North in playoffs, and we won our first playoff game in multiple years for our program. So that was pretty special to go out and finally get a win in the playoffs. So.
And it's always nice when you have a long bus ride to come home after a big win. Right?
Yeah, it makes all the difference in the world on the bus if you win or lose.
Do you have a favorite rival?
It's always fun to play West. I mean, they're obviously a very good team, but I think we're just so local, and we all know each other, and the students come out for sure when we play, so that's always fun.
Is there a favorite arena that you go to that you feel most comfortable in, maybe outside of your own?
I like playing at Spash. I've always liked playing there at the KB Willett. So, is
there anything particular about that venue that kind of connects with you?
I like how it's. I don't really know, something about it. It's just fun to play in there.
Let me ask you about because I go to some games, and there are certain places where usually it's students, that they will try to get under the skin of a goaltender. And I think maybe KB will, because they have the students behind one of the goals, and so it could be very easy. Do you ever get involved in that? Do you ever hear it? Do you ever have to say to yourself, "Oh, I got to kind of put a cocoon around me and not deal with it"? Or is there times that you may engage in it? Is that something that is a factor at all for you ever at some of these venues?
I mean, they're loud, obviously, at some places, especially these conference games, but I've learned to tune it out and just not listen and just pretend as if no one's there.
That is the best way to do it. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? It's so much easier with BJ around. In terms of But let's go to the final question, because I think I've hit everything else that I would want to hit here tonight, and these split interviews are always a little bit harder to stop in the middle. But you know the question because you were here before. And I think it's always great when somebody who's had multiple years of varsity experience has gone through the ups and the downs and have had to go through everything else. Based on your experience, and if there's a freshman that's just starting their journey at DC Everest, what piece of advice would you give based on what you've learned over these last number of years?
I say the same thing every time I get this. It's just you gotta enjoy yourself. I mean, there's gonna be times where it feels like everything's going your way, and then there's gonna be times where you lose a game that you shouldn't have, and everything just feels like it's going wrong. And you just gotta remember it's a game you've been playing since you were little, and you just gotta go out there and enjoy yourself, especially since it's gonna go by. I mean, 5 games into senior season, it's already flying, and there's still so many games left, but it's just it goes so unbelievably fast. So you just gotta enjoy it while you still have it.
By the way, how old were you when you started playing goalie?
I skated when I was younger.
Yeah.
I started playing goalie probably when I was a squirt, so 10, 11, and I started playing full-time when I was like 13.
Did you kind of sense early on that you had the ability? Is that something, or did it take a little time?
I mean, I've always tried it. I never went full-time until I was a bantam, but I tried it when I was younger. I did it occasionally, and eventually I just liked it more and more, and one day I was just like, yeah, I want to stick with this, and here we are.
When you were a skater, what position did you play?
Anywhere they needed me.
Do you miss scoring goals?
Yeah, it was certainly fun. I didn't score a lot anyway, so there wasn't much to miss, but it was fun. I don't know. I enjoy where I'm at now, though.
That's always a good way to go about it. Well, again, Griff, it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been a pleasure watching you over these years. It's always
Thank you
a
very
great
much.
challenge, and I look forward to seeing you at the Marathon Cup this weekend.
Yeah,
Best of luck to
Thank you
and
very
the
much.
Evergreens. That's Griffen Bunnell, senior for the DC Everest Evergreens. And again, they start off their Marathon Cup play tomorrow night in the second semifinal, taking on Mosinee. And then, of course, we have the second round of the Cup, both consolation and championship round Saturday. And then those teams who don't play get an opportunity on Tuesday of next week as well. We're going to take a quick time out. Come back with more, turn our focus to what's been going on in high school basketball coming up next. It is the Big High School Sports Show on 98.9 WXCO.
What's your idea of winter fun? If it's hitting the trails after a fresh snowfall and you're thinking new snowmobile, it's time to call CCU. That's Clover Belt Credit Union, the leader in financing fun. If you're thinking new four-wheel drive vehicle to get you to the downhill slopes or the cross-country trails, it's time to call CCU. That's Clover Belt Credit Union, the leader in financing fun. Quick, easy loan applications, friendly lenders, and great rates make CCU the lending leader in financing fun. If your idea of winter fun isn't in the snow, maybe hitting the highway in a new motorhome is the way to go. Just give CCU a call. Financing for motorhomes and winter getaways. When you think fun, think Clover Belt Credit Union. What are you waiting for? Life's too short and winter's too long. Call CCU for your great rate financing. Dial 715-842-5693 or apply online or from your smartphone. That's Clover Belt Credit Union. Local lenders lending local money, keeping our community strong.
Coming in early 2026, Four Seasons Golf swings into Rothschild with a brand new location at 880 Eagles Nest Boulevard. Prepare for 20 heated outdoor bays with top tracer technology and 4 indoor full swing simulators. Enjoy delicious food and drinks at the full sports bar. Join thrilling Monday through Friday night leagues or compete in exciting tournaments. For updates, hours, and pricing, visit FourSeasonsGolfofWausau.com. Because at Four Seasons Golf, every day is a reason to celebrate golf.
Rocket Industrial's mission to package with less is a commitment to making a future that's better for the next generation. Their recommendations help manufacturers across the nation package with less material, less waste, less time, and with less cost. Their engineers and experts provide data-backed solutions that positively impact your bottom line. When you work with Rocket Industrial, you're working with a partner committed to making a difference. Rocket Industrial, package with less. Learn more at rocketindustrial.com.
And welcome back. It is the Big High School Sports Show on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. I am Chad Holmes. BJ Brandt, my co-host, has had to go off and get to work. He had some athletic director duties over at Wausau West, so we'll be flying solo for the remainder of the program. I do have, on the other side of the glass, our in-studio engineer, Ian Welsh. Again, Ian, thank you for your help.
You're welcome, Chad. Not a problem at all.
Well, we always appreciate it. I will not ask you to break down the boys' high school basketball action.
That would be amusing.
I will take care of that myself, but it's always good that Ian's here pushing all the right buttons and making sure that we get the show on the air to you every Wednesday night.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the high school boys basketball action. Wisconsin Valley Conference, we're about set this weekend on Friday to start the conference season. And looking at what the teams have done up to this point in the non-conference portion of their season, you got Wausau West is 3-1 overall, DC Everest 2-1, Marshfield 1-1, Stevens Point only played one game, they're 0-1, Wisconsin Rapids 0-2, and Wausau East is 0-3. Some of the action in the past week, Wausau East on Thursday, they fell to New London by a score of 60-46. Robbie Angeli had 24 points and 8 rebounds for East, but Lumberjacks again in a rebuilding phase. They lost so much incredible senior talent from their state tournament team from a year ago. They played some good competition early on, but again, winter sports season is such a long campaign. Plenty of time to try and build block by block and turn things around. East was supposed to be in action last night against the Marathon Red Raiders. Very, very good Marathon team, but that game was postponed due to the weather. Wausau West, after 3 straight wins to start off their season, they fell at Eau Claire North last Friday night, 72-46. Jackson Riley had 11 points, Carson Thurs and Will Butala 9 each for West. And again, Wausau West was missing a couple of starters in that game, including top scorer Karji Cooper. So a shorthanded Warrior team fell to a solid Eau Claire North team. Marshfield lost for the first time this season. They lost to La Crosse Central on Friday, 50-46. Chris Pohl had 18 points and 7 rebounds for the Tigers. And also in Valley play, Wisconsin Rapids on Monday lost to Holman, 69-59. But looking ahead, Friday night, the first night of high school boys basketball action this season in the Wisconsin Valley Conference. You have DC Everest at Wausau West. That will be part of a girls-boys doubleheader that we will have live for you right here on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. Always a terrific rivalry. It was a very interesting matchup a year ago. Everest defeated the Warriors twice during the regular season, but then in the first round of the playoffs, Wausau West was able to knock off DCE. So again, it's always intense. It's always great energy, great crowds, and should be a fun one on Friday between the Evergreens and the Warriors. And again, up to this point in the non-conference, those are the teams with the best records in the WVC, with West at 3-1 and DC Everest at 2-1. Also on Friday night, Stevens Point. As I said, they've only played one game. They had a 3-point loss against a highly regarded Bayport team. They were supposed to play last night as well, but their trip to Waunakee was postponed due to the weather. So the Smash Panthers, not a lot of on-court activity up to this point. They will start off their conference campaign taking on the Wausau East Lumberjacks. And again, the Jacks looking for that first win of the season. Not an easy matchup against Stevens Point. And Wisconsin Rapids at Marshfield. Rapids has struggled the last couple of years. They're still looking for that first win of the season. And Marshfield is a team that just continues to be so very good in recent years. 3 consecutive Wisconsin Valley Conference championships. They made it all the way to the state championship game in Division I a year ago. Preseason, I would say that Marshfield would be the favorites until somebody knocks them off. They have one of the top seniors in the state of Wisconsin in Chris Pohl. So again, Rapids has that unenviable test of going to Marshfield for their conference opener on Friday night. And then as we continue the rest of the week, plenty of action with Wisconsin Valley Conference schools, but they're all non-conference games. After their game against Stevens Point on Friday, Wausau East hits the road on Saturday, going to Beaver Dam. Marshfield has a long road trip on Saturday, heading to Hudson, and that's never an easy task. That's a game that matches up teams in the same sectional, so that has some significance despite being a non-conference game. Stevens Point will host Sun Prairie West on Monday night, and then on Tuesday, it's the annual battle of the Lemons brothers. Wausau West head coach Nate Lemons, Rhinelander Hodag head coach Derek Lemons, Warriors and the Rhinelander Hodags up in Rhinelander on Tuesday night. Marshfield travels to Eau Claire North. Eau Claire North is basically playing a bit of a Wisconsin Valley Conference schedule. They played already Wausau East and DC Everest on Thanksgiving weekend. They hosted Wausau West last Friday, and then next Tuesday they take on the Marshfield Tigers. And finally, Wisconsin Rapids and Merrill. That's not a conference game anymore. Up until this year, that would be a Wisconsin Valley Conference matchup, but that is now a non-conference game. Merrillwood Conference South in high school boys hoops, and the conference campaign is underway. There was crossover games last Friday night, and the Merrillwood South beat the Merrillwood North in 4 of the 6 games. Marathon, again, Marathon looking very solid this season. Coach Adam Jacobson has some good talent back, and it's always such a well-run, well-coached team. And Marathon started their season off with a big win at a highly regarded Regis, and then they took on another highly regarded team on the road, Rib Lake, ranked in Division 5, and Marathon went to that tiny gym at Rib Lake and won 66-53. Ian Schuda had 15 points for the Red Raiders. Sawyer Barons 14 points. True Thurs 10 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. So again, I think early on, Marathon is making an early claim to be an early favorite in the Merrillwood Conference South. Newman Catholic got their first conference win. Cardinals defeated Abbotsford last Friday, 74-47. Quincy Fender, 31 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. Lucas Piffner had 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists. Cards came out very quickly, leading 38-12 at halftime. When you get that duo of Fender and Piffner going early, very, very difficult for an opponent. But the Cardinals getting off to a 1-0 start in the conference. I don't know. It's hard. The thing about Athens beat Stratford in overtime on Friday, 51-46. The thing about the Stratford Tigers is I'm never surprised if they come out a little bit slowly because so many of these players have long football seasons. They always go very deep into the football playoffs. It may take a little time for them to find their winter sports basketball rhythm, but big win for Athens in OT on Friday. Riley Schultz-Becker had 18 points and 8 rebounds for the Blue Jays. Riley Spindler, 18 for the Stratford Tigers. Another Merrillwood North over Merrillwood South game saw Prentice edge Edgar 64-60. It was Assumption over Chequamegon 68-41 and Auburndale over Phillips by a score of 77-53. There was some action early this week, non-conference action with Merrillwood Conference South Division schools. A game that we had Monday night right here on 98.9 WXCO. Saw the Newman Cardinals come up very quickly, jump out to an early double-digit lead, but then things went sideways for the Cards. They had a hard time working against a 1-3-1 zone defense thrown by Northeast Wisconsin Christian Homeschool. So what was a double-digit lead turned into a double-digit loss for Newman, 61-47. Quincy Fender had 22 points in the game for the Cards. Lucas Piffner, 10 for Newman Catholic. Isaiah Henselin had 24 points. Carter Frisk, 20 for Northeast Wisconsin Christian Homeschool. And you hear that name, and I have to admit, I knew very little about that team before seeing them. They have some very talented players. They have some good size. It's a very good basketball team. They are 2-2 on the year. They played a couple of Division I teams, the close games. Their 2 losses were only by 3 and 4 points. So I think a very quality opponent, and that will help Newman Catholic as they move forward. Lakeland beat Stratford. Again, another loss for Stratford on Monday, 49-47. Brady Berg, 18. Matthew Schoenfuss had 16 for Stratford. And Edgar lost to Stanley Boyd in a non-conference game Monday, 77-57. And then on Tuesday, Assumption beat Tri-County 60-50. Logan Nystrom, 24 points. Chase Lieberg, 17 for the Royals. So looking at the Merrillwood South, Marathon 2-0 overall, 1-0 in the conference. Auburndale 2-1 overall, 1-0 in the conference. Assumption 2-2 overall, 1-0 in the conference. Newman Catholic, the Cards have a 1-3 record overall, 1-0 in the conference. Edgar 0-2 and 0-1. Stratford 0-3 so far and 0-1, but don't count out those Stratford Tigers quite yet. Back into the conference for these teams, and again, it will be crossover games on Friday, but then the Merowith South teams will meet each other on Tuesday of next week. Friday schedule, the Merowith South teams will be the home teams this week. Marathon will look to stay undefeated, home against Prentice. And again, Prentice, a team that's expected to battle at the top of the Merowith Conference North. So a good crossover matchup in that one between Prentice and Marathon. Newman Catholic will try to make it 2-0 in the Merowith. They host Phillips on Friday night. Athens is at Edgar. Athens will try to make it 2 in a row over Merowith Conference South teams after that overtime win over Stratford last week. Rib Lake is at Assumption. That is a very intriguing matchup as well. Abbotsford travels to Stratford, and Chequamegon is at Auburndale. Tuesday night, Merowith South teams go head-to-head. Newman Catholic makes the short trip to Marathon on Tuesday. That game will be heard on the Sports 2 stream of WXCO, our website at WXCO.FM, and on the Civic Media app. Again, Tuesday night, we will have both hockey and boys basketball. I'll have Wausau West Hockey live on 98.9 WXCO, and then Newman Catholic at Marathon and high school boys hoops. Again, live on the Sports 2 stream, starting with the pregame show at 7 o'clock and the opening tip at 7:15 with Tom Weaver on the call here on WXCO Sports 2 stream, WXCO.FM, and the Civic Media app. Quick note, again, if you have not downloaded the Civic Media app yet, real simple. Just go to your app store, search Civic Media, download the app. It is free. It will always be free, and then you'll be able to catch our games on the Sports 2 stream, on the primary stream, wherever you are around the world. Also on Tuesday, Assumption is at Stratford, and Edgar travels to Auburndale. Great Northern Conference. You got 4 teams at 1-0, 4 teams at 0-1. You have Antigo 2-0 overall, 1-0 in the conference. Northern Pines 3-1 overall, 1-0 in the conference. Rhinelander is 3-1 and 1-0 in the conference. Mosinee 2-1, 1-0 in the league. And then the 4 teams that are 0-1 in the conference: Merrill, who is 2-2 overall; Lakeland, who is 1-1; Tomahawk 1-3, and Medford 0-2. And looking at the conference matchups that started in the GNC on Friday of last week, Mosinee started off with a 72-58 win over Lakeland. Tree Stoffel had 25 points and 8 rebounds in that game. Braden Reinke, 16 points and 12 boards. Mitchell Micklig added 10 points as well for Mosinee. Northern Pines ran past Merrill, 79-56. It was tight for a half. Pines had a 4-point lead, 29-25 at the intermission, but then 50 points scored by Pines in the second half, outscoring the Blue Jays 50-31. Ethan Miller had 26, Milo Albrecht 19 for Pines, Eli Burtman 16, Cooper Wendorf 11 for the Blue Jays. Rhinelander knocked off Medford on Friday, 71-57. Devin Feck had 23 for the Hodags. Nick Krause had 18 for Medford. And Antigo beat Tomahawk 63-21. Scott Hagerty 14, Isaac Bookman 13 for the Red Robins. Some non-conference action of note involving Great Northern Conference squads. Merrill beat Crandon 56-34 last Thursday. Tyson Ott, Cooper Wendorf each had 13 points in that game for Merrill. Tuesday night, last night, there were a couple of games that were not snowed out, and a very interesting game. And Rhinelander held in check at Wittenberg-Burnhamwood. Chargers beat Rhinelander 49-33. Surprising that Rhinelander only scored 33, but that Whitburn team has some good talent. So first loss of the season in 4 games for the Rhinelander Hodags. And Tomahawk, their struggles continue. They lost to Tigerton last night, 79-40. Looking at some of the action in the Great Northern Conference, back in the conference play on Friday night. Interesting one in Merrill. The Blue Jays will host the Mosinee Indians. And Mosinee and Merrill often face off in the postseason in Division II. We had a big upset win by Merrill in Mosinee a couple of years back. But Mosinee and Merrill, I think that has the potential to be a very good new rivalry in the Great Northern Conference. It's been a rivalry, I think, up to this point, but now a conference rival as well. So Mosinee at Merrill Friday. Medford is home against Lakeland. Both teams lost their conference openers last week, so each would like to get to 1-1. Rhinelander is at Antigo, battle of 1-0 teams in the conference. And Tomahawk is at Northern Pines, and I think Pines looking like a team that could be a bit of a factor this season near the top of the Great Northern Conference. Some interesting non-conference games as well after that. Saturday, Mosinee going back to Kaukauna for that event that's held at Kaukauna High School each year. Mosinee will take on Little Chute in a good non-conference matchup for Mosinee. And also Saturday, Onalaska and Medford. Boy, it seems like Onalaska and Medford meet in every sport in non-conference play. They always seem to play in football. They play often in basketball. They often play in the playoffs in these sports as well. So Onalaska at Medford on Saturday. Tuesday, Mosinee home against Brilliant in a non-conference game. Merrill will host, as I mentioned earlier, Wisconsin Rapids. Medford takes on Menominee, an annual non-conference affair as well. Antigo at Wabeno Leona, and Hayward is at Lakeland. So that's a look at some of the action going on in high school boys basketball. And again, lots of interesting games because we're starting to get into the conference campaign. The first night of Wisconsin Valley Conference play coming up on Friday. So again, very, very interested to see some of these Valley Conference games. And again, the Great Northern going at it. And we'll, for the first time, see the Merriwood South actually play each other. We have the crossover games, which count in the conference standings, but now after another set of crossovers Friday, those Merriwood South teams go head-to-head on Tuesday. So a lot of interesting games to take note of in the next week in high school boys basketball. Going to talk about the girls coming up next. Girls basketball, as the Wisconsin Valley Conference started their conference campaign on the girls' side last week on Friday. We'll tell you about those results and a whole bunch more coming up next. I am Chad Holmes, again flying solo here in the second hour without BJ Brandt, but we do have Ian Welsh across the way as well. It is the Big High School Sports Show on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO and on the Civic Media app. On Thursday, the Wausau West hockey team looks to start their journey towards a 19th consecutive Marathon Cup championship. The Warriors will take on East Merrill United in a tournament semifinal. Hear all the exciting action live on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO and on the Civic Media app, with the pregame show starting at 5:06 and the opening face-off at 5:30. Wausau West Hockey on 98.9 WXCO is brought to you by Sun Printing, the Wausau West Athletic Department, Cloverbelt Credit Union, sponsor of the Cloverbelt Credit Union broadcast booth, Rocket Industrial, and the Wausau Business Show, the Wausau Cyclones, the Wausau West Hockey Booster Club, and Mike Whitmore Construction. It's Wausau West taking on East Merrill United in a Marathon Cup semifinal. Thursday, starting with the pregame show at 5:06 on 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO and on the Civic Media app.
For more than 60 years, Sun Printing has been Central Wisconsin's printer of choice. Due to their commitment to quality, creative solutions, and dedicated service, Sun Printing's team offers you a wide spectrum of services. Whether you need vehicle graphics, offset, digital, large format, graphic designer mailing, they print everything under the sun. No project is too big or too small. So give Sun Printing a call at 845-4911 or visit them online at sunprinting.com.
Are you thinking about updating or transforming your home or business? Mike Whitmore Construction has been delivering nearly 3 decades of professional construction service you can count on. Stunning interior renovations, durable exterior upgrades. Mike and his team do it all, expertly, efficiently, with quality that lasts. See the quality work of Mike Whitmore Construction on their Facebook page. For craftsmanship you can trust, call Mike Whitmore Construction today. 715-401-3965. Mike Whitmore Construction, built on experience, driven by quality.
And welcome back. It is I'm confusing my shows. So I was about to say it was the WXCO Morning Report. And if you don't tune in the mornings, Ian and myself are here bright and early in the mornings at
Yes, we are.
6:52, 7:22, 7:52, and 8:22. And hey, I guess I brought it up. Folks are tuned in because you have a chance to win some great prizes. We're in the midst of our WXCO holiday giveaway on the WXCO Morning Report, and we got 17 different terrific folks, businesses here in the Wausau area involved. So if you tune in tomorrow morning, in fact, tomorrow morning, I think we're going to give 2 different chances to win these prizes. So,
yes, it's going to be a big morning.
Yeah, if you like tuning in here tonight and Wednesday nights for the Big High School Sports Show, tune in during mornings with Pat Kreitlow for our WXCO Morning Reports, 6:22. I should say 6:52. I don't want to get up that early. 6:52, 7:22, 7:52, and 8:22 every morning here on 98.9 WXCO. I do get punchy once in a while because of between the shows and the games, always running around. And the last couple of days have been really, really interesting in terms of scheduling this show because we originally were scheduled to have Wausau West and Stevens Point in high school hockey last night, but then the game was postponed. It was rescheduled for today at 5 o'clock, so that meant, well, you have to reschedule my guests. And so I reached out to Griffen Bunnell and also Josh Howe, the Mosinee girls basketball coach, saying, hey, well, unfortunately, you got to do the hockey. Well, not unfortunately, but unfortunately, the game was rescheduled during the Big High School Sports Show time frame. So could you come on next week? And they both said, yeah, absolutely. And then today found out, today's matchup was postponed because Stevens Point canceled school this morning. So then I reached back out to Griffen and Josh Howe, and Griffen was able to make it in here tonight. And Coach Howe, unfortunately, not able to, but he will be with us coming up next Wednesday. He'll be our coach guest at 6:30 next Wednesday. Josh Howe, the Mosinee girls basketball coach on the Big High School Sports Show here on 98.9 WXCO. I don't know what we're going to do in the 2 weeks after that because 2 weeks from tonight, it's already Christmas Eve.
Oh, yeah.
And we will not have a show on Christmas Eve. I'll tell you. Santa Claus will be in charge that night. And then we have New Year's Eve the week after that. But on New Year's Eve, Wausau West Hockey plays at the Notre Dame Academy Showcase on New Year's Eve that night. So we'll have hockey that night. So I got to figure out somehow maybe to squeeze in a Big High School Sports Show sometime late in December as well. But let's talk about girls high school basketball. The Wisconsin Valley Conference, the Valley got underway last Friday night, first night of activity in the WVC. Wisconsin Rapids defeated Wausau West by a score of 48-31. It was Marshfield over Wausau East, 72-56. Haley Klum had 26 points and 10 rebounds, and Kennedy Kolstad had 20 points for Marshfield. And Stevens Point defeated DC Everest by a score of 75-34. So looking at early on, just based on what some of these teams have back, what I've seen actually on the court so far, I think Stevens Point comes in as the early favorite in the WVC. They're 4-2 overall right now, 1-0 in the conference. And the Stevens Point Panthers feature one of the best players I've seen in girls hoops over the last few years. Ever since she was a freshman, now she's only a junior, Jada Soibert. 5'10 guard, just an outstanding player. Just a lot of fun to watch her on the court, and she just plays the game so very well. But not only is she outstanding for Stevens Point, you got 6'2" sophomore Leah Awe, who's going to be a handful for anybody else as well in the WVC. So I think the Stevens Point team comes in as the significant favorites in the conference, but I do think that maybe Wisconsin Rapids has an opportunity to take some strides forward. They struggled last season. They were in the bottom portion of the WVC. But I watched them play in Merrill the first weekend. Wausau West was there, Merrill was there, Superior was there, and Wisconsin Rapids was there. And had a chance to see Wisconsin Rapids play. And they got a young lady, a freshman named Kennedy Conkle. And she was very impressive in the action that I saw. She had well over 20 points in the game against Merrill, and she played well against Superior as well. So she's a young player that I think will grow exponentially and become a major factor in Wisconsin Valley Conference girls basketball as well. So, and of course, the Marshfield Tigers, they're right now 1-4 overall, 1-0 in the conference. But they always play a very, very challenging early non-conference schedule. And sometimes it's not pretty early, but they got a veteran coach in Heidi Michaels, who has done, incredible work in her long career. She was the coach for 15 years or so. I should know that at the tip of my tongue. Then she retired, and then last season she came back. And you know that she knows how to set up a season in order to have her team playing as well as possible when the season goes into February towards the postseason playoffs. And then you have West, East, and Everest. And I think West and Everest are interesting in that I think they're in the rebuilding stages. I think they got younger coaches. They got, I think, a reinvigoration of the program. It's going to take time. It may not be this year, but I do think those programs, I remember back 10, 15 years ago, some of the incredible games that those schools had in the playoffs. And I think at some point in the in the near future, not so distant future, that we'll see Everest and West and Wausau East. And we had an opportunity a few weeks back to talk to one of the outstanding performers for the Wausau East Lumberjacks, Evelyn Tomey. And I think this East team, the way that Evelyn Tomey talked about this process and going through some tough times and still being able to go out there and play hard, I think that says a lot about that East program, having a young lady like that who just keeps on plugging and trying to help this team build that program as well. So looking at this week, I mentioned some of the previous wonderful matchups that we saw over the years between DC Everest and Wausau West. And the Evergreens and the Warriors will meet coming up on Friday night, part of a girls-boys doubleheader right here on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. The girls will be first up. We'll be on the air at 5:35 for the pregame. They'll be followed by the boys. And one of the interesting aspects is you got Maddie Leiskow, who is now the head coach at Wausau West, and one of the folks on her staff is Taylor Pettit. And Taylor Pettit was one of the outstanding players at DC Everest not too long ago. So I've said that if you could put those coaches on the court, boy, they would be a handful to deal with. But I think these coaches are going to do an outstanding job as well for Wausau West. So that's one of the Valley games on Friday. You have Wisconsin Rapids at Marshfield. That's an interesting game. I mentioned the fact that you have Kennedy Conco, the freshman for Wisconsin Rapids, who I think is a really solid player for them. And, of course, you have Marshfield, again, 1-4, but 1-0 in the conference. I think this is an early indicator for both these teams on Friday night. And then Wausau East travels to Spash. Not an easy matchup for East against, I think, the overwhelming conference favorites, the Stevens Point Panthers. Some other games to keep eye on involving Wisconsin Valley Conference girls basketball teams. Saturday, Everest has a non-conference game at home against Manitowoc Lincoln. If you're looking for some high school basketball before heading over for the Marathon Cup hockey over at DCE, you can see some girls hoops as well. And then Tuesday of next week, lots of non-conference play. We got Wausau West home against Lakeland, Stevens Point home against Rhinelander, Wausau East at Antigo, DC Everest hosting New Richmond, Marshfield travels to Holmen, and Wisconsin Rapids home against Eau Claire North. In the Merowith South, these teams have already played quite a few conference games. Stratford, 6-0 overall, 4-0 in the conference. Auburndale, 4-0 overall, 3-0 in the conference. Assumption, 5-1 overall, 2-1 in the conference. Marathon, 3-1 overall, 2-1 in the conference. Edgar, 2-2 overall, 1-2 in the conference. Newman Catholic, 1-5 overall, 0-4 in the conference. And had some crossover games late last week. Stratford on Thursday defeated Athens 63-18. Marathon beat Rib Lake 72-46. Newman Catholic fell to Abbotsford 45-39. Edgar beat Prentice 55-47. Assumption over Shawamigan 75-27. And Auburndale beat Phillips by a score of 79-41. And then last night it was scheduled to be Merowith South against Merowith South. 3 games on the schedule. two of which were postponed. Marathon in Auburndale, Assumption and Edgar. But Newman did make the trip over to Stratford, and Stratford defeated the Cards by a score of 57-34. Aubrey Pent and Mallory Rosbadowski each had 11 points for the Cards. Emily Zolke had 16. Michaela Stuber had 10 for Stratford. Coming up Friday, crossover games again. You got Marathon home against Prentice, Newman Catholic hosting Phillips, Abbotsford at Stratford, Shawamigan at Auburndale, Rib Lake at Assumption, and then some non-conference play after that. Saturday, Auburndale travels to Bonduelle. Monday, Athens is at Edgar. That is conference play. You have Merrill at Stratford in a non-conference game. Tuesday, Pittsville at Newman Catholic, and Edgar is at Rosholt. And then finally, in the Great Northern Conference, it's a very different feel for the GNC. After so many years of Lakeland dominating with the Wilmette girls, they have moved on. The girls and the coach have all moved on, and it's a rebuilding process for Lakeland. But Medford, 5-1 overall, 2-0 in the conference. Mosinee, also 2-0 in the conference, 3-2 overall. Northern Pines, 3-2 overall, 2-1 in the conference. Three teams at 1-1 in the conference: Tomahawk, Merrill, and Antigo. Tomahawk 2-1 overall, Merrill 1-4, Antigo 1-3. Lakeland 0-2 in the conference, 1-5 overall. Rhinelander 2-3 overall, 0-2 in the league as well. Some of the conference play late last week, Thursday, Tomahawk beat Antigo by a score of 50-36. Mosinee all over Lakeland, 55-22. Megan Troy 16, Payson Stoffel 10 for Mosinee. Merrill fell to Northern Pines 45-26. Medford over Rhinelander 55-45. All the action except for one game last night was postponed, but Lakeland was happy to play because they got their first win of the season. In a non-conference game, Lakeland beat Crandon 55-43. Some of the action tomorrow, Mosinee is at Merrill. That's, again, one of those new conference matchups. Mosinee and Merrill in Merrill tomorrow night. Tomahawk at Three Lakes Phelps. Friday, Rhinelander at Antigo. Medford at Lakeland. Northern Pines at Tomahawk. And then some non-conference play early next week. Mosinee in action on Monday. Travel to Eau Claire Memorial. Stratford home against Merrill. And Tuesday, Pines at Florence, and Crandon is at Tomahawk. So that's a look at where some of the conference standings are in terms of high school girls basketball. Well, almost time to wrap things up for this edition of the Big High School Sports Show here on 98.9 WXCO. Thanks to Griffen Bunnell, again, the goaltender, senior for DC Everest, joining us as our student-athlete guest. Thanks to BJ Brandt for being with us in the first hour as well. Looking ahead, tomorrow night, high school hockey, Wausau West against East Merrill United. Coverage begins with the pregame show at 5:06, opening face-off at 5:30. Right here on 98.9 WXCO. Basketball doubleheader on Friday. DC Everest at Wausau West. 5:35 for the pregame. 6 o'clock for the girls, followed by the boys. We will have Marathon Cup hockey involving Wausau West on Saturday. If it's in the championship round, approximately 7:30. And then coming up next week, I don't have the schedule in front of me beyond that. But we have plenty of action. We will have Wausau West hockey on Tuesday in the third round of the Marathon Cup, and also Newman at Marathon and boys basketball on the Sports 2 stream. We'll talk to you next week, Wednesday, here on WXCO.